Hi all, Shane here, Lanac 67. Here's an update on a project that some of you who follow ISM may have recognised from a few months back. It was the first build I ever did on ISM, and it kind of got shelved almost a year ago and never really came off the shelf. Well, I actually got a second kind of burst of enthusiasm for this kit, and I decided I want to get it done. So this is AFV Club's STRYKER ESV, or Engineer Support Vehicle, or Squad Engineer Support Vehicle, or Engineer Squad Vehicle. Sorry, yeah, whatever the hell it is. Engineer Squad Vehicle, that's it, sorry. So, I spent about a day airbrushing this, and I'll talk you through what I did. So I'm sure Norm, who was quite helpful on the forums when I was working on this, will be quite happy to see it. And it's kind of given me kind of a new enthusiasm for modern armour, which I really like modern armour, but I can find they are complex builds, especially there's more in them than obviously World War II chewed all the technology in them. But I'll talk you through what I did, because it's the first time this has appeared on my channel, and it's also going to be up on ISN. It'll be one of the first written forums entries I've done in a while on that site. I just wanted to continue it. So, first the model, before it was primed in surface primer black, I added no non-slip texture. I don't know how well you can see it there. You can kind of see it now. It's a bit heavy, but I kind of like doing it a little bit over-exaggerated, because often you lose the non-slip texture, and it looks quite similar to the real vehicles. And that was done using Galeria acrylic medium sand texture gel. So this is basically an acrylic gel with grit. I just steepled. I masked what I wanted, and then just steeped it on with a cheap kind of stiff brush. Also applied it to the underside of the vehicle, but by mixing heavier grit and ballast into it. There you can kind of see it, and that's going to aid when I start doing my filters and my earth effects from AK. Just gives a bit of texture. So the painted vehicle, I'm sure those of you who build modern armour will quickly notice that is not NATO green. I have a reason for painting it a colour as light as this. So after doing the work and adding some stowage and some scratch built tarpaulins and retaining straps on the rear deck here, I was going to put more stowage onto this vehicle. I just ran out of I ran out of packs. I didn't want to be all day. Also, I added some wiring to the two headlights. So what I did was surface primed with Vallejo black, then with Vallejo model colour 71.200 cam green. Farigel colour actually is quite close to what the real vehicles tend to be painted in. I sprayed that down, leaving some of the black primer showing through in some recesses. I wanted to try a bit of modulation in this vehicle, and it's quite subtle. I'm still kind of experimenting with it. I don't really have the brush control of Carlos Mendez, who's quite proficient and skilled at modulation. So next time I chat to him, I'll storm his mind on some points and tips on that. So what I did was sprayed it on, allowed some of the black, which is visible if you look along some of the recesses. You can kind of see it coming through. It is for some reason, I notice when you spray some model air colours, they have a slight satin sheen to them at times, but not to worry. There's going to be a matte coat, or it's going to be gloss coated once all the stowage is done. Decals, gloss coated again, weathering, but that's in the next couple of fits. We won't worry about that. Let's talk about what we're doing. Then what I did was I started mixing in yellow ochre, small amounts, into the cam green, and began to pick out centres of panels. So if you look at hatches, that air vent there in the middle of the vehicle, you know, it's a lighter green, and it's the same on the side of the vehicles, but much more lighter. I might actually come back and pick out them again, because you can't even notice it. It's more prevalent on this side. Again, just slight, more just the top's got the modulation than the sides. I might go back and do it again. My reasons for going for a lighter green and a camo instead of NATO green, from the photographs I've looked at the STRYKERs, they don't seem to have NATO green. NATO green is a very deep colour, and I've seen them operate alongside the Leopards that use NATO green in their camo schemes, and the NATO green is almost like a black green compared to this. So again, Norm, if you're watching this, maybe you could comment on this in the sense that just in case you come across in your own studies, since you're quite knowledgeable with modern armour, is it a NATO green or not? It appears not to be, but that could also due to be extended periods in the field on exercises or deployments. Because I noticed when they're in Iraq, they seem to have NATO green. When they're on NATO like training exercises, it seems to be a lighter green. So it could just be down to the light intensity, how long they're on the field, that the sun might fade the paint. Now personally, I like having my vehicles a little bit light. It draws a bit of attention, and I did take it up a few tones brighter, so to compensate for the washing and weathering that's going to tone everything back. So like, no, we do try to replicate paint accurately in model making. Well, if it's your forte. The one word of advice I would give is that go a shade or two higher than your intended colour. Though it might look silly, the fact is when you put your washes, your sludge washes, your filters, your pin washes, what have you, it will tone the vehicle down even more and even change the intensity of the colour. So to compensate this, it's good to maybe go a shade, well, at least one shade above it. Just add maybe a small amount of, well, I wouldn't put white, I normally put like a sand colour in to lighten it. Again, that's personal preference, because that's kind of more mimicking kind of sun bleached look, how these vehicles react. Done a little bit of detailed painting, just picked out the wires in black, can't really see, and the small little rubber stops on the, I think that's the crew, or no, that's the troop commander's hatch, I believe. The RLS or RMS, the remote weapon system, RWS, it's currently just being painted up. It was painted a different colour. I just originally painted in reflective green, which was too dark. Went back, primed everything again, picked out this again in the cam green, and then hit it with the lighter shades on the top, so I'll sit up here. The weapon that I will be using, it's probably my favourite type modern weaponry, if I can find it, which is the Mark 19 automatic grenade launcher. And if you look at real photographs of the weapon, it does have a slightly glossy coat to it. I think that's just the protection it has. So what I did for that was I painted it Citadel Black, which is from Games Workshop, or from Citadel, that's owned by Games Workshop. Has a slight satin varnish, or kind of satiny quality to it. Got some oily steel, picked out some wear and tear on leading edges of the weapon and muzzle, and then give it a black glaze, and I give it this very shiny but not glossy finish, if you get me. Gives a bit of an opaqueness, and that's quite accurate to how the real weapon looks from the photographs and references I've seen of it. So that she'll sit up here. I can get something like that. That's not sitting correctly, but give you an idea. Also have some stowage. I've yet to do the actual mine plough. I lost a few bits and pieces, so I actually had to scratch build a few of the retaining lugs and what have you. It's a bit rough, but you're not going to actually see any of it. It's just so I can actually mount the mine plough to the vehicle, which is going to be a lot of fun. Also, the wheels were picked out again using the same colours, slightly highlighted, and then the tyres are picked out with German grey. So I think it kind of looks a bit better for a rubber than going flat black. And again, that's going to be weathered in turn. So the plan now is I have to recoat these in a different paint, because as you notice they don't match up. So I need to mask off. These are stake launchers for marking a minefield, so they mount on the rear of the vehicle. When the vehicle is clearing the mines, it can actually, without having to get any of the crewmen to dismount, it can clear. It actually gives following vehicles a point of reference to follow. Very clever. So I'm going to strip them down, give them a paint in the new colours, bit of stowage, just one of those kind of gorilla boxes. So I'll probably throw that back up there. That will really break up the colour. I need to weather that up a bit more. Crewman I may not use. This is from Legend Models. Some of you might have seen him already. Not too happy with him. I painted him a few years ago. I might see if I get a more up-to-date figure with ACU cam, which I hate doing, but I can do it up in multicam now as well. And just with little bits and pieces here, like particularly, I'll wrap up with this now, so I don't want to drag on too much. Particularly proud of this, which is my M4 assault rifle. Has an AOR marker laser. Basically, when you have your night vision on, it emits an invisible laser that can only be picked up. Obviously, it's IOR, so only night vision can pick it up. It has an infrared spectrum, and it just gives the soldier, he knows where the muzzle of his weapon is pointed. Has a foregrip, has a what we call an ACOG scope. I think it's an X4 or an X6 times zoom on that scope. And then all I did was I gave it a Duracoat, which that's like the camo coat you see on certain weapons. That also acts as a protective coat for the weapon. There's also an M240 or FN mag in there too, but more on that later. So that's a quick update on the Stryker. Keep an eye on this. I will be working on this over the next couple of days. I hope to get this done by the week's end, perhaps. F18 is still ongoing. How to Build a Tank series is almost ready for detailing. This is almost ready for decaling as well. Just have to pick out the stowage. Will take a couple of hours because I haven't molded in, so it's going to take a few minutes. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you find this interesting. I haven't seen too many Stryker builds. I think Norman's the only one who's actually, or Swinehound 227. I think he's the only one who's built Strykers. So it's nice to have a few more up there. So thanks for watching, happy modelling, stay safe, and watch out for those buses. Bye bye.